Blog Talk Radio.
Saturday morning. This is what we do every week. And my name's Tom Marquis, El Presidente. I am the host, and I will guide you through this murky world of sports. Got a lot of exciting things on tap today. We start a brand new segment, our wrestling segment, and we're going to be talking with Rick Riggin, are going to take the lead with this as well with, I cannot speak, Andrew Williams. Will take the lead of our AEW wrestling segment. And if you guys have not heard about AEW, well, you're about to today. And then Rick's going to stick around. He's our college football prognosticator. And so we're going to get through college football as well. Adam can't join us today as he's got some other obligations coming his way. And then Tony Donahue from the Tony D podcast joins us in our official as our official NBA contributor. Joins us to break down this week in the NBA. And your host, me, El Presidente, will handle the NFL as Ed Kratz is unable to join us this week as well. So there's a lot going on. My name is Tom Marquis, El Presidente. Stick around. It's about to get good.
The Air National Guard is a reserve component of the United States Air Force and serves alongside active-duty Air Force members in times of a national crisis. In addition, the Air Guard serves the state and local community in a wide range of capacities. The reason people join the Air Guard is as diverse as our members and includes such reasons as a deep desire to serve their country, money for college, travel, new job skills, and the pride that goes along with belonging to the greatest military organization in the world. I joined because I felt a calling to serve my country, but I didn't want to be far away from my family, so the Indiana Air National Guard was a perfect fit for me. With over 95 different career opportunities to choose from and 100% paid college tuition to any state-funded college, why not give us a call? Call 1-800-841-3103 or visit online at goang.com to find out more. Again, that's 1-800-841-3103. The Air National Guard, guarding America, defending freedom.
Oh, hi. Seen on the board, do you guys have Black Rifle coffee here?
No, I'm sorry. We only carry good small batch coffee here. No.
Well, it is great small batch coffee.
Well, that really can't be unless it's fresh roasted. So,
Well, it is fresh roasted.
I don't think you know what that means. You know what this is? This is Masa Lekwa Pique, which, of course, in the Indonesian language, let me finish. In the Indonesian language, it's weasel coffee.
You just made that up.
No, it's been passed through their digestive tract.
That's disgusting.
And then it's nature's wet processing.
Yeah, but is it good?
I mean, it's all right. Are they investor philanthropists? Do they support good causes?
Yeah, tons of causes. Veterans causes and first responder causes, but it doesn't matter because they make good coffee. So that's what I'm wanting.
Do you have any?
You know what? Actually, I'm just going to order it. They make it freshly roasted.
Right.
Black Rifle Coffee.
It's good.
Welcome back to The Balance. My name is Tom Marquis, El Presidente, and we're about to kick things off here with Rick Riggin and Andrew Williams, our brand new segment, and then before we get into our so just to kind of give you a flow again of the events of today. We're starting a brand new segment called the AEW. It's our wrestling segment, and it'll be led by Rick Riggin and Andrew Williams. And then we've got our normal college football segment that Rick Riggin will be joining with us. And then Tony Donahue, the Tony D podcast, joins us, talks NBA with us, what's going on this week in the NBA. And I'm going to carry the torch this week for the NFL. So joining us now without further ado, Mr. Rick Riggin. Rick, do you have your Black Rifle coffee? Oh, no, it's Monster for you, isn't it, right? Rick, can you hear me? Andrew, can you hear me?
I got you.
Rick, we see you there, but we can't hear you. Earth to Rick.
Hell of a way to start this brand new segment.
Rick, can you hear me? Can you hear me now, Rick? Rick, can you hear me? We're getting back here. Maybe we're having some difficulties with his line. He says he hears us.
So
we'll just go ahead and we'll kick things off here as soon as we get Rick back on the line. We'll go. So talk to me a little bit about AEW. You and I were talking a little bit before the show about how that's different than the WWE. So let's go ahead and we'll go into that, and we should be getting Rick back any second. And when we do, we'll jump right to him. But go right ahead.
So what's interesting about AEW, other than WWE, is AEW was started by professional wrestlers. It's a wrestler-run organization. The president of AEW is Tony Khan, whose dad owns the Jacksonville Jaguars. So what's interesting about that is there's almost unlimited money for these guys to take on Vince McMahon and the
Rick,
Goliath of WWE. Oh.
I hear you. Do you hear me?
I do. I don't know. There must have been some sort of malfunction there. The board showed that your line was lit up like a Christmas tree, but we weren't hearing it. So I'm going to let Andrew finish his thought real quick there, and then we're going to jump back into it. We're going to turn it over to you. I was going to talk about Black Rifle Coffee and your Monster, but we ran out of time for that. So, Andrew, just go ahead and finish what you were saying there. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I wanted to make sure we knew we had.
No.
Go ahead.
It's just interesting. AEW is awesome because it's started and run by professional wrestlers. They keep the fans, what the fans want, in mind, and pretty much unlimited money to hire everybody they want, from the Khan family and a billionaire. So we have a billionaire against a billionaire again, just like the 90s with the Monday Night Wars, WWE, WCW. It's a really exciting time to start watching the greatest fake sport in the world.
The greatest thing. You're the first wrestling fan that I ever talked to that actually can admit that it was fake. Rick Riggin, you're going to be taking the lead of this weekly AEW segment, so we're going to turn it on over to you now, sir.
Can you still hear me?
We can still hear you.
You're good.
Sounds like you're dying, but we can hear you. No.
Sounds like I'm dying? You might be right. A strong start to this segment. I couldn't ask for a better way for this to go. But I will say, as I live and breathe, Andrew M. F. and Williams on the bounce, man. How you doing?
All right, how are you?
Good, man. Hey, the only way to kick this thing off is with your boy MJF. All right, and I want to
greatest
maybe go
heel ever.
Right. I might go a little bit long-winded on this thought, but I think you know where I'm heading with it. But afterwards, man, you can just tell me like how on track or off track that I am. You can set it straight, 'cause that's why you're here.
Okay.
So Full Gear, he wins with just the headlock takeover, right? And we could talk about. I don't really want to talk about the match at Full Gear. I want to talk about after Full Gear this past Wednesday on Dynamite, because we're going to see the beginning of the CM Punk MJF feud, right?
That's what it looks like.
So that's kind of my problem with this whole thing so far. If you go back to the CM Punk Darby Allin match, where CM Punk beats Darby Allin then loses to lost train of thought here. He loses to MJF. Now we're talking MJF.
Right.
So that's 2 straight big match losses for Darby Allin. All right. CM Punk, the same thing happened with Team Taz. They were rolling Team Taz out like they were like the Nexus from like 10 years ago, WWE, right? And he has this little thing with Powerhouse Hobbs and just all that, and then they don't roll out Team Taz that same way anymore. And I feel like this may happen with Eddie Kingston after his match with CM Punk. It's like everything CM Punk has touched so far has like their character, their whatever, has just gone in limbo, like some kind of wrestling purgatory. Now we're going to see this with MJF. Do you see this happening with MJF now? Because are they just writing CM Punk to beat all the young talent? He's supposed to be there to push the young guys, but are they just going to script him to win this match against MJF, and now we're just going to see MJF go into limbo?
I think with MJF, first of all, we have to at least acknowledge the greatest wrestling match of 2021 with MJF and Darby Allin. If anybody gets a shot to check that out, it's the perfect Southern wrestling match. And even if you don't like wrestling, I feel like, and I use my wife as an example, she was entertained by this, and she does not care one bit about pro wrestling. But when it comes to CM Punk, they brought him in. Let's be real about it. They're trying to get that ratings bump with CM Punk. Everybody's been waiting 7 years to see CM Punk. It was awesome that Chicago Stadium was on fire. And he kind of laid it out in that promo that he wanted to wrestle younger guys and put them over. So I see what you're saying, Rick. I had never even thought about it that way. I think Eddie Kingston's going to be fine. I think Eddie Kingston is AEW Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's kind of like the people's champion of AEW. Yeah. I think he's going to be just fine.
I feel like that John Moxley's going to be out because he's getting rehabilitated and everything. They could maybe use Eddie Kingston to fill that John Moxley role a bit. But now I don't know if that can happen because he lost to CM Punk. It's like everything CM, and I love the fact that CM Punk's in AEW, but everything so far that he's touched has just gone into limbo.
So Andrew or Rick, whoever wants to answer this question, CM Punk is obviously a big name in wrestling. They made a big announcement about him having an opponent of QT Marshall, who is for the new guys. Let's say for the new guys, okay? The novice guy who's just flipping channels and say, "Oh, okay, haven't watched wrestling for a while." They're making a big to-do about CM Punk. What makes him who he is, and what is this big? Why is this such a big announcement that he'll be up against QT Marshall slated for the 24th?
So they're in Chicago. So when CM Punk wrestles in Chicago, it's like QT Marshall is nobody. He's nobody.
Right. He's just fodder. He's just a filler match basically.
In fact, I could probably
this is all about CM Punk being in Chicago.
Gotcha.
It's going to be CM Punk in Chicago. The place will go nuts. He's like God in Chicago. And what's going to happen is they'll have this match. They'll wrestle for about 5 minutes, and then MJF will do something.
Right.
Setting up the further program with CM Punk and MJF. And MJF's mic skills, CM Punk's mic skills, this will be super entertaining for sure.
And
MJF
I hope they build this. I hope they build this for longer than what they do, because that Darby Allin MJF build for 2 or 3 weeks, and then they had the big scrum in the audience, which is great, and then MJF coming out talking about how them two are two of the pillars, right, which is correct.
Right.
But that we only have like 3 weeks of build-up. I hope with AEW only having 4 pay-per-views a year. I know they do these big-time events on live TV too. I hope we get some sort of build-up here because, yeah, you're right. Both of them on the microphone is going to be great. But I hope they get great writing, and I hope this build lasts for a while.
Well, when it comes to MJF, I think he's bulletproof. I don't think a loss to Punk for MJF is a bad thing because he can say – so MJF, if you look at his record, I think they have him listed as having 2 losses or 2 to 4 losses, something like that.
Yeah, and you're probably right because he lost to Jericho, the trials of Jericho, and he's bulletproof. Yeah, that didn't bother him whatsoever.
Yeah. He's such a weaselly heel that it'll come up some way he got screwed. And then I think MJF could be the guy that gives Punk his first loss. They love him. And
hey, that'd be great. Fine with me. That'd be awesome.
They have AEW has a record of long-term storytelling with Adam Page and Kenny Omega. That was a 2-year story. So who knows what they're getting ready to give us with these 2.
Yeah. Hey, Andrew, you said you got breaking news, buddy. You want to go ahead and break this news?
Breaking news.
Oh, wait a minute. Breaking news.
Yeah, breaking news. Breaking news.
All right, go ahead.
So the WWE, this is probably the only WWE news we'll talk about this week because if anything remotely interesting was happening, we'd talk about it. But there's 3 or 4 guys whose contracts are coming up, and they will be huge additions to AEW. Johnny Gargano, Kyle O'Reilly, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn. And all 4 of those guys have ties to AEW. They're friends with all of the top wrestlers in AEW, and I can't wait for it to happen.
There will be a CM Punk style pop if Kevin Owens walks out of an AEW tunnel. I will tell you, the way CM Punk did it in Chicago, how loud that pop was. Kevin Owens, if they have a show in Canada, that's how they need to bring him out.
Montreal, live Dynamite in Montreal in February. If they do that,
yeah,
we're getting Kevin Owens.
Yeah, we're getting Kevin Owens.
And Kevin Owens is a big deal. He's a multiple-time. Yeah, he's a multiple-time WWE, multiple-time WWE heavyweight champion. He's beat John Cena. He's beat all the guys there. He headbutted Vince McMahon, for God's sakes, and made him bleed. So
yeah,
that'll be huge.
And then the other guys, think be the perfect guy to start off with against Kevin Owens in AEW?
Eddie Kingston.
That's a great call.
Eddie Kingston cutting a promo talking about how there's nobody tougher than him in AEW and blah 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 blah. And here comes Kevin Steen. Kill Steen kill as he used to have in AEW in Ring of Honor. Yeah, that's super exciting.
Call. Hey, so I guess we'll switch gears a bit here. We'll talk about the new heavyweight champion, Adam Hangman Page, and now his feud with Bryan Danielson. Do you think – now, this is where AEW is great at. I don't know if I have a problem with this yet because I don't know if Hangman Page has earned the street cred just quite yet to have a long championship run. I mean, because I'm a Kenny Omega guy. I think Kenny Omega is the best wrestler in the world. I don't think Hangman is quite on that level, but the whole reason for the title change is that Kenny Omega needs, 2 shoulder surgeries? He's still going to be AEW in some capacity, just not competing for a while, I hear, which I think really sucks bad, but because I love Kenny Omega. But do you think Hangman, they can Omega was champion for 346 days. Do you think Hangman can go on a run like that?
I don't know. I love Hangman. I think he's great. The crowd seems to be with him with the cowboy shiznit chants that they have,
Yep.
And What I like about this, I think they're going to draw this out a lot with Danielson. We got to make sure we don't say
Daniel Bryan.
Daniel
it's
Bryan.
so hard.
We gotta say,
that's like saying San Diego Chargers, you know.
Yeah. They're going to draw this out because with the Dark Order thing, he said he's going to go through every member of the Dark Order and kick their head in. Well, there's like 100 members of the Dark Order.
Yeah.
So there's. I'm really excited for Friday night in
Colt Cabana.
Or Wednesday. Was it Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday with Colt Cabana.
I think
he's
it's
a Chicago
Wednesday,
guy. He's a Chicago guy. That'll be huge. If CM Punk's God, Colt Cabana's Jesus in Chicago. So.
Oh wow! I didn't realize it was like that.
Yeah, they used to be best friends. We could do a whole show about that situation itself, but we don't have time to get into that right now. Danielson and Hangman, I think, is a mismatch because Danielson's such a good mat wrestler and has that MMA kind of style, and Hangman's your prototypical pro wrestler. If he was in 1986 in NWA, he would be right there with the Four Horsemen.
Yeah, right there. He'd be up there, a headlock and a Harley race.
yeah, he'd be right there with all those guys. So I think they're going to draw it out for a while.
Well, good. Speaking of Hangman, we could just transition right into the Elite. You can go ahead and do your thought, though. Finish your thought.
I don't think Danielson needs the title right now.
Right.
So I think Hangman needs it, and to kind of get him bigger. And
I think you're right. Danielson, he doesn't
build
need to
him
push.
up.
Right.
Yeah. Danielson's over, no matter what. He's the man. Him and Punk and Adam Cole, these guys are bulletproof at this point in that company.
Right. I tell you, needs a push though is the Young Bucks, because I thought they were like the greatest talented tag team when they were the champion anyway. And since they lost the belt these past couple of months, they just stand in front of the camera and their promos aren't real good. I mean, they don't really go down and wrestle. I'm not sure what they're doing with the Young Bucks right now.
I think I know what they're doing. So they brought in Bobby Fish, who was a member of the group with Adam Cole in WWE. And one of the guys we just said earlier, Kyle O'Reilly, his contract's up soon, was also a member of that group. I feel like they're going to wait this out. This is the long-term storytelling AEW does. Wait this out, wait for Kyle O'Reilly to show up, and then there's going to be a Undisputed Era Elite feud between who gets Adam Cole.
Caught some of that last night by Christian coming down with a chair and then leaving Bobby Fish in the ring, and I think there's going to be a split. But you might be right; there might be waiting on the guy to come in and blow the whole thing up.
Yeah, they'll build the split and build it because they got to wait a couple months, and then I think those guys have like a 90-day non-compete thing in their contract where they can't show up on a different show. So it'll be a long-term thing, but I think that's where we're headed. I'm not like you. I'm not a big Bucks fan. I'm an FTR guy. I like that old school Arn Anderson, Tully, Blanchard type tag team. And the Bucks for me, it's just leg slap after leg slap after leg slap. And I'm with Jim Cornette.
Yeah, but they're high energy.
High energy.
If you watch that, and everybody should have, you're calling the Darby Allin MJF match greatest 2021 match. I'm going Kenny Omega, Bryan Danielson. Just how high energy that entire match was. Yeah. I mean, I hate that I ended in a draw, but I guess it's the only way you can really do it. They just rolled that out on a Wednesday night, which is great about AEW. That is a pay-per-view match, and they just rolled it out on a Wednesday night one night. And that's the greatest match I've seen in a really long time.
They had to do that for that where they had it at the Arthur Ashe Stadium. That was the first sold out. They were in New York. That's it, WWE country. They had to bring something big for that.
Yep.
And they did, and they delivered.
Good point.
And it was awesome.
Good point.
I think it was my recency bias. I'm starting to change my mind on what was the best match of 2021 now. because that was a great match. Yeah.
Yeah, that was incredible. So,
but when it comes to the Bucks, though, see, they're executive vice presidents of the company. They seem to bury guys, like how you were talking about CM Punk a bit ago.
Yep.
FTR, I think, is the greatest tag team in the world, and it seems like anytime they come up against the Bucks, they lose. Like they're trying to hold those guys down. And I would really like to see them kind of – I wouldn't mind if everybody, them, Omega, Cody – we need to talk about Cody, by the way. I wouldn't mind if they just took a step back. If they just kind of disappeared for a little bit. Because one thing people have talked about in wrestling for a long time is that there's no off season. And I don't hate what AEW does, where they take guys and they push them, and then they kind of disappear for a little bit. Because you can't miss somebody if they're not gone, you know.
Yeah, so, this is kind of what I see to do with Darby Allin right now. Even though he got a good win last night against Badass Billy Gunn, but I kind of see this in a way with Darby Allin. Like he pushed. He was TNT champion for a while. Now I feel like he's kind of disappeared a bit.
By the way, Billy Gunn looks better than he's ever looked in his entire career. And he's almost 60. He's almost 60 years old. Jesus Christ.
He's a monster.
Yeah. Well, my wife said, "That's not Billy Gunn." I said, "Yeah, it is. That's Billy Gunn."
He's huge.
So Cody, okay?
And the worst neck tattoo in sports history.
Worst neck tattoo ever. I love Cody. I love the Rhodes family. For anybody that doesn't know, it's Dusty Rhodes' son, Gold Dust brother, Dustin Rhodes. I think, why is he not a heel, Rick? Why is he not the greatest heel in wrestling?
I thought that he was. I thought that he was a heel. I thought the thing they had going with Malachi Black, I thought that Malachi's kind of like a fan favorite in a way. I thought that Cody Rhodes was a heel.
I think what they're doing is the John Cena thing, where he's not a heel except to the fans. Because in that match at Full Gear, it was all heels and Cody, and all the heels got cheered and Cody got booed.
Yeah.
So I saw a really cool idea online where Cody says he's a good guy and everybody hates him, and then he
says,
"That's
exactly what a heel would say."
Yes, but then he goes, "Remember the match with Jericho? He said if he lost that match, he would never challenge for the title again, right?"
Right.
What if, as an executive vice president, he's like, "You know what? You guys don't like me? Screw it. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm challenging Adam Page for the title," and beats Adam Page.
Yeah, he's the boss around these parts, so he can just go ahead and do it.
Nuclear heat.
X-Pac heat. That's big time heel stuff.
Business. Yeah.
Big time heel
would
stuff.
Be, I mean, that's to AEW what Hogan joining the NWO was. In my eyes. That's huge.
We've been talking with Rick Riggin and Andrew Williams, kicking off our brand new wrestling segment called All Elite. Now, let me guess. Let me take an intelligent guess here. Is AEW stand for All Elite Wrestling?
Good job.
Yes, it does.
Good job.
And every time they have a big signing, get on social media, see who they signed. It will say, such and such is All Elite when they sign that guy. So yeah, we had to name the show All Elite. The balance is gone All Elite, Tom.
Hey, it's been All Elite for a long time, man. And you know how the segment started. Andrew, just to give you a little bit of a background, our first cousin of this show is by the name of Chaos. It's bound to happen. Something always happens on the balance. It's like without rhyme or reason, something always happens on the balance. We've only got about 1 minute left, and Andrew, you're certainly welcome to stick around for our college football segment. But let us get to know Andrew Williams. Who is Andrew Williams? Why are you such a wrestling fan? And we'll take this time to talk with us in what other sports you like. I hear you're a football fan.
His basement is an action figure museum. I will say that. His basement is an action figure museum. It's awesome.
I'm sitting here down.
Did he just call you a grown-up nerd?
Yeah. I mean, I was just telling my wife earlier, I got a new Chris Jericho figure that came with 2 jackets, and I'm sitting there putting these jackets on it. I'm like, holy crap, I'm playing with dolls. But
That's amazing.
No, I'm sitting down here in my basement. I've got a Batman poster to my left, a Four Horsemen poster to my right. I'm a giant Kansas City Chiefs fan.
Okay.
I could talk to you about them forever. I started watching wrestling as a kid, just like everybody else, with Hogan and Warrior and all that stuff. There's something about it. It's I told somebody the other day, it's Redneck Cirque du Soleil, and I love it.
I love it.
Yeah, it's the male soap opera. It's great.
Yeah. Well, I will give him credit. You don't have to have this argument with him. You know this isn't real, right?
Yeah. Like
So,
it's 2021.
Yeah. This segment was the exact opposite of actual wrestling because this segment was unrehearsed and unscripted, and I love every piece of it.
Those are the best kinds to have. Well, how can people follow AEW and watch it, and when's the best times to watch it, or how do they catch it, or should they just put it in their stream list and get to it whenever? Is this something you've got to catch? Does it go week to week? I mean. How can people watch this or what have you?
Every Wednesday on TNT is Dynamite. Every Friday is on TNT is Rampage, and they have a YouTube show too where they have some of the younger people. I think it's called AEW
I saw
Dark.
Their YouTube channel. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
So instead of saying Sunday, we say Wednesday, and wait, there's more. Friday. That's a play on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Andrew, are you?
Yeah, we got it. We get it.
Andrew, you going to stick around for college football, or you got to bounce?
I know nothing about college football. I'm going to bounce. I got a grandkid upstairs that's screaming, so I probably need to go.
Well, you can certainly introduce your grandkids to the dolls, and it makes everything okay that you're a grown man.
They're not. He's not allowed to touch it. He's not allowed to touch it. We've had this.
All right, Andrew.
We're
following you on Twitter, and we've got you on our Twitter page for the show. But where can people find your work and masterpieces, sir? We say that to everybody.
Run a Will of Run on Twitter and Instagram. And, I'm on Facebook too.
Okay, buddy. We appreciate you joining us, and we're looking forward to future conversations about AEW with you and Rick.
All right, thanks.
Hey, it was fun.
Thanks,
I'll catch you later, Andrew.
We'll see you. My name's Tom Marquis, El Presidente. Stick around. It's about to get good. We're going to get into our official college football segment. A lot to talk about, and certainly with the college football rankings and some things that are happening there. So myself and Rick will be right back right here on the Balance Radio Network.
Maybe I'm foolish, maybe I'm blind, thinking I can see through this and see what's behind. Got no way to prove it, so maybe I'm lying. But I'm only human after all. I'm only human after all. Don't put your blame on me. Don't put your blame on me.
I can't believe it. I've been playing 4-on-4 with a barbershop quartet.
Pass the ball, pass the rock. We're open, just pass the ball.
Nah, I can't believe how easy it was to save hundreds of dollars on my car insurance with Geico. Yeah.
Believe it, Geico could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Morning face. You get it when you don't sleep well. This is what happened to Linda.
Morning, guys.
Good morning. Ah, what is that thing?
It's me, Linda.
Oh my God, it talks! Run!
No, it's me, Linda from HR.
It looks hungry! Save the children! Save them! Stay back! I've got mace!
Ow, that went in my eyes.
Quit moving!
It's called beauty sleep for a reason. And there's never been a better time to get some.
Get 20% off IKEA Sultan mattresses. IKEA, love your home.
Oh, hi.
Hey.
I've seen on the board, do you guys have Black Rifle coffee here?
No, I'm sorry. We only carry good small batch coffee here.
Well, it is great small batch coffee.
Well, that really can't be unless it's fresh roasted. So,
Well, it is fresh roasted.
I don't think you know what that means. You know what this is? This is Masa Lekwa Pique, which, of course, in the Indonesian language, let me finish. In the Indonesian language, it's weasel coffee.
You just made that up.
No, it's been passed through their digestive tract.
That's disgusting.
And then it's nature's wet processing.
Yeah, but is it good?
I mean, it's all right. Are they investor philanthropists? Do they support good causes?
Yeah, tons of causes. Veterans causes and first responder causes, but it doesn't matter because they make good coffee. So that's what I'm wondering.
Do you have any?
You know what? Actually, I'm just going to order it. They make it fresh and roasted.
Right.
Black Rifle Coffee.
It's good.
All right, welcome back to the Balance. My name's Tom Mark with El Presidente. We got things kicked off with a brand new wrestling segment, our AEW segment, with Andrew Williams and Rick Riggin. Rick Riggin is still sticking around here with us for college football talk. We're going to be doing this at least a monthly. I don't know if this is going to be a weekly thing or not, and we'll decide on that. But
it can be.
Can be.
It
okay.
certainly can be. We can pull 30 minutes out of each episode, 2 episodes a week on TNT.
Okay, well we can
but we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll get it all figured out. But certainly, a lot of fun to talk about. It was a fun segment. Thanks for jumping on and orchestrating that with Andrew.
Oh, definitely, and that's exactly how it should have went. First segment, unscripted, unrehearsed, a technical snafu at the very beginning. I mean, that's we didn't even script this, and that's a wrestling script right off the bat.
There you go. Well, let's get right into this college football rankings and college football talk. Let's go back though last week to when we found out that Justin Fortain is out at Virginia Tech, and so kind of really kind of breaking news there that happened. Kind of maybe surprising. Again, they made that decision to part ways. Mutually, they say part ways. And whenever you see that,
he was fired.
You know the word fired.
Yeah,
and that's exactly how they should have handled it. Really, as far if they were going to make that decision, I don't want to regurgitate the whole LSU conversation, but that's exactly how. If you're going to make that decision, you think this is the time to make that decision, then just rip the Band-Aid off and go on and be focused on it. You know, certainly they had not ranked higher than 12th in the AP poll over the last 6 years. So, you know, certainly the coaching carousel has begun. I think everybody's eyes are on Hugh Freeze to be the next Virginia Tech Hokies coach. But let's get your thoughts on the coaching carousel. You know, I know there's been a lot of names talk about. So let's talk about Justin Fortain. How did Virginia Tech? We don't know where he's going to be at right now. But more importantly, who's going to be in at Virginia Tech as the permanent head coach?
Yeah, you know, last week you mentioned why did they do this mid-season, and I agree with you in a way. I think you should finish out the season also, but it's all about recruiting. If you let this stretch out, if you're going to get rid of a coach and you let this stretch out through December during the recruiting period, and that coach you're going to fire is actually getting commitments, and then you fire that coach, well, guess what's going to happen to the recruits? They're going to transfer. So it's all about recruiting. It's all about the state of the program in the future is why they kind of do this mid-season. It is weird how it does play out that way, but it's all about recruiting, and it's probably got something to do with whatever buyout is in place in their contract. Fired before, after this date, you know, we owe you this much money. You know how that all plays out. So, but that is the reason why it plays out the way it does. There's just a lot of stuff that goes into it. And, you know, you mentioned Hugh Freeze. I think you're 100% correct. If Hugh Freeze, now he can't pass the baggage check in the SEC anymore. I don't think he's allowed back in the conference, at least not anytime soon. But at a team like Virginia Tech, ACC, he can get to Blacksburg, Virginia, and disappear for a bit. He's done a great job with Liberty right now. If I'm Virginia Tech, I'm hiring Hugh Freeze in a nanosecond.
Yeah, absolutely. You talk about the baggage. Go ahead and just refresh the listeners on that baggage, because I've got a comment on the back end of that I think makes perfect sense why he shouldn't be a coach anywhere else. Go ahead.
Well, there's a lot of stuff here, but I know one of the big things, and we'll just cover the one big thing here is the escort services on the company credit card there at Ole Miss. So
that's right.
So that is what's the escort services for? Is that for bringing in recruits? Is that for personal use? Don't really know, but that is a thing. So
they're not going to the high school dance with you. I'll put it that way. So the thing being,
right,
and those that don't know anything about Liberty University, it's a very Christian conservative school. Certainly wouldn't be one that you would think that athletic director Ian McCall at Liberty would pick up the torch after all of that happened, and even being allowed to pass. So if he could pass the Liberty baggage test, he should be able to pass for Virginia Tech.
Yeah, Tom, I didn't even know Liberty was really Christian-based, but if that's the case, then that's perfect for Hugh Freeze. He can go there. He can kind of, I don't know, change his mindset, change how he does things. I'm all for giving people second chances. So I think Liberty was great, and I also think that him going to Virginia Tech, if he gets hired on there, he can still stay at Virginia Tech and fly under the radar a bit.
We have a Liberty University alum on our team. Do you know who that is?
Which team? Balance team?
On the balance team, yeah.
Is that Adam?
That's Adam. Adam is a proud alum.
I remember talking about this sometime, yeah. Gotcha. I see now. I see. Okay.
He can't join us today.
Awesome.
He's got some other obligations, but he certainly has sent over his thoughts on some college football. But let's go ahead and talk about the most recent college football rankings. There's a move up for Notre Dame, and as I said in my GIF, so you're saying there's a chance. Have you ever seen that movie, Dumb and Dumber?
Yeah, that's one of the greatest comedies of all time. It doesn't get the respect it deserves, but for me, it's a top 5 all-timer.
You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, you cut out right there at the very beginning, so just repeat your last statement.
It was called Dumb and Dumber, It doesn't get the credit or respect that it deserves, but for me, it's a top 5 all-timer.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
Yeah.
I could go on. I was mugged by an old woman in a wheelchair, and I didn't even see it coming.
Yeah.
Pretty bird. Blind boy. He got the dead bird.
Yeah.
Oh, we could go on and on with the Dumb and Dumber comments and stuff, but Melissa's not ever even seen Dumb and Dumber. We're going to have to change that.
Oh wow, yeah, you're going to change that probably this weekend. I mean, come on.
Yeah, we should. Here's the thing: if you want to watch
how can you produce these two clowns right here and not see Dumb and Dumber?
Exactly. I mean, we're the walking Dumb and Dumber ourselves. What are you looking for their name for? It's right there on the suitcase. I'm so stupid. Samsonite. Duh. Not a strip on the body. But yeah, if you want to watch a movie that has absolutely no morals, I mean, it doesn't have morals, I guess, or no meaning, no plot, or whatever, Dumb and Dumber is your movie. We'll try to change that. Okay, back on track. Notre Dame goes up in the ranks. What does that mean for Notre Dame, Mark? There's still going to have to be some chaos to happen. Let's talk a little bit about that chaos that has to happen for Notre Dame to get into the college football playoffs.
Hey, do you still have the victory march queued up on your computer from Notre Dame?
I don't have it anymore. I had to get rid of a lot of them.
I was going to have you. while I go on my soapbox here, just play that. Play that in the background because Notre Dame has a path in. They definitely have a path in, and I can see a lot of this playing out. So we will see. But Notre Dame has a path in, them being ranked 8th. They got a game today against Georgia Tech. That should be no problem. So they're going to be 10-1. Teams ahead of them are going to lose. We got Ohio State, Michigan State. One of those has to lose, right, today because they play each other. Today. Notre Dame's going to be moving up regardless because unless the unthinkable happens and it loses Georgia Tech today, Notre Dame is still moving up after this weekend.
So, again, we like chaos, but what happens if Notre Dame loses to Georgia Tech? Not going to happen, but let's play the what-if scenario.
Right. Oh, well, no playoffs and probably not even New Year's 6 if they lose to Georgia Tech. So it's kind of these next 2 weeks are every game is a big game, and we could use the same cliche every week. But they're going to have to win out. They have to win out. They take a loss, and maybe not even a New Year's 6 bowl with 2 losses.
Well, so the college football rankings are in. Who's in with college football? We still see Ohio State in there. Who do we see maybe still has an opportunity as far as the outside looking in?
Cincinnati and Notre Dame are the only 2 outside looking in. I see because Michigan State, Ohio State play today. I expect Ohio State to win by about 30 points. So Michigan State's going to be done after today. Michigan plays Ohio State next week. Michigan's going to be done after next week because Ohio State, if Adam's listening right now, he's going to love all of this because I think Ohio State is the second best team in the country right now. That offense is the best offense in the country. That offense is ridiculous. How they're going to stack up against Georgia, against that defense, that is a matchup that I really want to see, that Georgia defense versus this Ohio State offense. I think Ohio State's number 2 in the country. We're going to see Georgia play Alabama in the SEC title game. I think Alabama's going to lose that. We're going to see Oregon. They're in the top 4. They're going to have to play Utah twice. The first time they're playing them is tonight. Utah's a tough team. Oregon might take a loss of one of these 2 games against Utah. So we got these 4 losses I just laid out for you, and that is going to promote Cincinnati and Notre Dame, and that's going to rocket them into the top 4. I don't think that they're the best 2 for the top 4, but I think they're the 2 that's going to survive. So that's why I think your top 4 is going to end up being Georgia 1, Ohio State 2, Cincinnati 3, Notre Dame 4.
Well, according to Adam in his information that he sent over to me last night when we were talking about the show, he said Oregon is going to be in a dogfight against Utah. So let's talk about that Oregon-Utah matchup. And what does it mean? It means more to Oregon than it does Utah.
Oh, yeah, it means everything in the world to Oregon because Utah's just trying to play spoiler. I think they're ranked something 21st or 23rd. They're a really scrappy team. It's the exact type of team that will go in and beat up Oregon. It's that same team. We saw Oregon take a bad loss to Stanford earlier this year. Well, Utah is 100 times better than Stanford. So Oregon's going to have to play the type of game they played against Ohio State, even though Ohio State played like their worst game of the year in that game. They're going to have to have the game like that because there's a lot of people thinking Utah is going to upset Oregon tonight, and I'm one of them.
So here is Adam's notes to us. So I'm going to try to put it in Adam's energy. I mean, MSU is good, but they literally have the worst pass defense in the country by statistics. They'll fight. But I've got Ohio State winning 41-27. This game will be also Volt Stroud's near the top. Volt Stroud's near the top of the Heisman Trophy. This is going to be an exciting game, but we know Ohio State's going to take it. That's my
that's 40. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's 41-27. He's giving Michigan State more respect than I did because I'm thinking Ohio State's going to roll. I think they're going to win by around 30 points here, and he's right. If C.J. Stroud goes off in this game, I think it's a 2-man race. You know, these last 2 games of the season, especially for C.J. Stroud, if he dominates Michigan State, which is a top 10 team, and dominates Michigan next week, another top 10 team, he just might win the Heisman this year. But I see Ohio State just destroying Michigan State. And another thing, talking of Michigan State, Mel Tucker was offered that 10-year, $95 million contract. He better sign that thing before they play Ohio State today, because if they lose by 30 like I think they're going to, Michigan State might change their mind. So I don't know if he signed it yet or not. I know it was offered to him a few days ago, that contract, which is crazy. They'll give Mel Tucker a 10-year contract at Michigan State just off this one good season they've had. But, hey, he better sign that thing and sign it fast.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. So let's talk a little bit about some of the games of the week. We've got to think that one of the biggest games of the week is the ones we've already talked about, and that's Oregon-Utah.
Yeah, like I said, I think this is trap. This is got Utah written all over it. Oregon's going to play Utah twice because Utah is already in that side of the division for the Pac-12 championship game. So I think it's both these teams already locked into that game, the way that conference is played out. So 2 of the next 3 games for Oregon is going to be against Utah, and I think Utah wins tonight. If they don't win tonight, they will win in the Pac-12. Pac-12 championship game. I do not think Oregon beats Utah twice.
So, we talked about this in weeks past, just about this back-end schedule for teams like Georgia. Georgia's got one of those back-end games today. We saw in Alabama's got one as well. All they've got to do is go get a win, check out the box. It's not even going to be that big a deal. They host Charleston, South Carolina at home.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia. Those games should be played early on in the season. This is a meaningless game for Georgia.
You just hit the net right on the head. They shouldn't even play these games at all. But if they're going to play them, they should be done in like September, not when you have a top 4 spot on the line here, and all we got to judge you on is beating Charleston Southern by 65 points. That's crap. I think if you schedule your way that way, you shouldn't be allowed in the top 4. I don't think a Division I team should schedule Division II. FBS should not schedule FCS. You don't see the NFL schedule Canadian Football League midseason, so why do it in college?
I'm always scratching my head about that. Well, Michigan State, Ohio State.
They complain about Notre Dame only playing 12 games, not having that 13th game, but they count this Charleston Southern stuff as a 13th game. That game should not count for anything. That shouldn't be scheduled in the first place. I'm getting heated here, Tom. I'm getting warmed up.
Go ahead. Let it out.
I should have had this passion during the wrestling segment in the last segment, because I'm about to just go all macho man here, talking about these FCS schools and how they get scheduled against FBS, especially this time of year. It's crazy.
Well, a lot of those games, people don't know this, but a lot of those games are a way for schools to make money, and not Georgia in this particular situation.
Right.
So,
yeah. Well, that's.
I'm not been a big fan of that.
I mean, they shouldn't have to depend on Alabama to pay him $3 million so Alabama could practice on him.
It's ridiculous. I digress. I do want to get into this Georgia Tech Notre Dame game, but first let's take a deeper dive into Michigan State and Ohio State, and certainly the Heisman Trophy possible winner. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Ohio State rolls big in this game, and it is going to be a game that's going to go a long way for C.J. Stroud in the Heisman race here. This year's Heisman, these candidates this year are tough to pick. I have to think that either Bryce Young or Steve Carell down in Ole Miss are the front runners, even though Ole Miss has 2 losses. But I would put C.J. Stroud 3. I don't know why. Maybe he's number 2. But if you just watch all the experts and read everything like I do, I think the favorite's Bryce Young. Today for Bryce Young, it's going to do nothing, for his Heisman candidacy. So C.J. Stroud beating 7th ranked, I think they're 7th ranked Michigan State. That's going to go a long way. I mean, that might prepare him to number 1 after this week if he dominates Michigan State, like I think they're going to.
Exactly. Well, let's go ahead and talk about your game, Notre Dame and Georgia
Matt
Tech.
Corral. Matt Corral.
Matt Corral.
Steve Corral. Matt Corral.
Hey, that's okay.
Boy.
I do that at least once a week on somebody in some segment. But yeah, Notre Dame.
I love Lamp.
All right. So Notre Dame, Georgia Tech. It's at Notre Dame, I believe. Correct?
Yep. Senior Day, last home game of the year.
Senior Day. Okay. Well, so Notre Dame obviously needs a big game from its offense. We've already talked about that. They're 9-1. Georgia Tech's 3-7. And certainly, you would think everything on paper says that Notre Dame has everything in place to win this game and win convincingly, and that's needed, obviously, to impress the college football committee. But I feel like there's some key factors to the offense that's finally playing finally playing up to its potential, I should say. But they've got to do it for 60 minutes. And one of those things I'm saying is they've got to basically start fast. And I mean, they've got to punch them in the face, as fast and as quick as they can, and which Notre Dame is good at doing. But they've got to start fast. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. That's what drives me nuts about every Brian Kelly team since he's been there. They don't really start fast. It's just they take the whole first quarter to fill out what they want to do, and it drives me nuts. Just go out there and punch them in the face. Let's set the tone on this thing. You have to be encouraged last week when they were on the road at Virginia. Virginia averages somewhere around 28, 32 points a game, and Notre Dame held them out of the end zone. I know that Virginia rolled their backup quarterback in. He's still pretty talented offense, and they didn't get in the end zone against Notre Dame last week. And since that Cincinnati loss and we started getting back healthy on the offensive line, our offensive line has been pushing teams around. We got a great running game now. It's taking a lot of heat off of Jack Cohn finally. I mean, he's taking less and less sacks. So offensively, we could still do a lot of things better than what they're doing now, especially in the pass game. I do like Jack Cohn, his experience. He's a good holdover. He's only here for this 1 year. This is supposed to be a rebuild year for us, but here we are sitting at 9-1. I mean, that's a pretty damn good rebuild year, right? Being 9-1. So we're back healthy outside of Kyle Hamilton, who's gone for the year. But I think he's healthy. I think now he's just saving himself for the NFL draft because he's going to be a top 5 pick. So I think for his future, that's a smart thing to do. So, but yeah, I see Notre Dame winning big. I bet this game Notre Dame was minus 16, I think, a few days ago when I put money on it. That line has moved up to 17 or 18 now. So I see Notre Dame winning by about 3 touchdowns here.
And I absolutely agree, and it does nothing but help your resume with the playoff committee. So as we come into next week's show, do you think there'll be any movement on the needle in the playoff scenario?
There will be. You'll see some movement. Well, if Oregon loses tonight to Utah, then there definitely will be because they're ranked 3rd.
Sure.
There will be because Michigan State is not going to beat Ohio State. So I think next week we'll see. There will be movement because Alabama's playing some like FCS team today, and Ohio State's going to beat up on Michigan State. I think next week, Tuesday, when the rankings come out, we're going to see Ohio State jump Alabama. I think we're going to see Georgia, Ohio State, Bama. We might see Cincinnati jump in the top 4 if Oregon loses tonight.
We didn't talk about
slide
this
up
game.
to about 6th or 7th. So I think
we didn't talk about this
a
game,
lot of movement.
Yeah, Alabama's playing Arkansas now.
they are playing Arkansas.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They played in the past.
There's a lot of money going in on Arkansas.
Close.
Because there's a lot of money going in on Arkansas. That's a great game. So I was completely wrong. I thought they was playing some FCS. They played an FCS team last week. I don't know what I was thinking. I think it's Georgia they's playing the FCS team, right? So yeah,
Georgia's
so
playing.
Yeah,
that,
if Bama beats Arkansas tonight, then they're not going to fall out number 2. But we'll see some movement definitely at number 7 because Michigan State's going to lose, and if Utah beats Oregon tonight, I think we'll see Cincinnati, the first non-group of five, the first group of five, slide into the top four.
All right, Rick Riggin has joined us for the last hour to help us kick off our new wrestling segment, AEW, with Andrew Williams, and stuck around in his normal role with the balance in our college football prognosticator. I ask you this, Rick, every week, but where can people find your work and your masterpieces, sir?
Yep, on the Twitter at Riggin_Rick.
On the Twitter at Riggin_Rick. Got your monsters ready to go for the weekend?
Today. I do.
What's that?
Yep. I do. I know what I was getting ready to say. I've lost train of thought already. But yeah, my monsters are. I'm getting ready to open monster number 2.
Oh man, I thought you would have been on like number 4 by now.
Well, you get thirsty. You're on the show for an hour. You're talking. You know how it gets. I
know how it gets. I definitely know how I get.
I'm not long-winded like you are, so
We'll talk with you soon, Rick.
All right, have a good one. Always fun.
All right, Rick Riggin, our college football prognosticator, and helping us kick off our new wrestling segment, the AEW segment. My name is Tom Marcos, El Presidente. We're due to have Tony Donahue of the Tony D podcast up next as we begin our NBA segment right here on the Balance Radio Network.
Double wide, quick stop, midnight tea, top jack, and a cherry coke pen. Mama and daddy put the roots right here, 'cause this is where the car broke down. Yellow dog school bus, kicking up red bus, picking us up by barbed wire fence. MTV on the RCA, no AC in the vents. We were Jesus to save me, blue jean baby, born in the USA. Trailer park, truck stop, faded little map dots, New York to LA. We were teenage dreaming, front seat leaning, baby, come give me a kiss. Put me on the cover of the Rolling Stone, uptown, down home, American kid. Rolling up in little pink houses, making out on living room couches.
The Air National Guard is a reserve component of the United States Air Force and serves alongside active duty Air Force members in times of a national crisis. In addition, the Air Guard serves the state and local community in a wide range of capacities. The reason people join the Air Guard is as diverse as our members and includes such reasons as a deep desire to serve their country, money for college, travel, new job skills, and the pride that goes along with belonging to the greatest military organization in the world. I joined because I felt a calling to serve my country, but I didn't want to be far away from my family, so the Indiana Air National Guard was a perfect fit for me. With over 95 different career opportunities to choose from and 100% paid college tuition to any state-funded college, why not give us a call? Call 1-800-841-3103 or visit online at goang.com to find out more. Again, that's 1-800-841-3103. The Air National Guard, guarding America, defending freedom.
Morning face. You get it when you don't sleep well. This is what happened to Linda.
Morning, guys.
Good morning. Ah, what is that thing?
It's me, Linda.
Oh my God, it talks! Run!
No, it's me, Linda from HR.
It looks hungry! Save the children! Save them! Stay back! I've got mace!
Ow, that went in my eyes.
Quit moving!
It's called beauty sleep for a reason. And there's never been a better time to get some.
Get 20% off IKEA Sultan mattresses. IKEA, love your home.
Oh, hi. Seen on the board, do you guys have Black Rifle coffee here?
No, I'm sorry. We only carry good small batch coffee here. No.
Well, it is great small batch coffee.
Well, that really can't be unless it's fresh roasted. So,
Well, it is fresh roasted.
I don't think you know what that means. You know what this is? This is Masa Lekwa Pique, which, of course, in the Indonesian language. Let me finish. In the Indonesian language, it's weasel coffee.
You just made that up.
No, it's been passed through their digestive tract.
That's disgusting.
And then it's nature's wet processing.
Yeah, but is it good?
I mean, it's all right. Are they investor philanthropists? Do they support good causes?
Yeah, tons of causes. Veterans, causes and first responder causes, but it doesn't matter because they make good coffee. So that's what I'm wanting.
Do you have any?
You know what? Actually, I'm just going to order it. They make it freshly roasted.
Right. Black Rifle Coffee.
It's good.
All right, welcome back to the Balance. 1 hour in the books. We kicked off our brand new segment at the beginning of the show today with our wrestling segment, our segment breaking down the AEW with Andrew Williams and Rick Riggin, and then college football talk with Rick Riggin. But now it's time to jump right into our NBA segment with Tony Donahue of the Tony D Podcast. Tony, how are you, sir?
Good morning. How are we doing?
Good. Did you like my NBA reference there with Jump as the bumper song and then jump right into the NBA segment?
You can never go wrong with a little Van Halen.
Yeah, you can never go wrong with those sort of things. You know, and last week we didn't really get a big start on the actual segment, and with you being our official NBA contributor, and we appreciate you doing that. So we'll kind of go with the flow of this week. We'll kind of start about some of the games that have happened this week and some of the news that's happened out of the NBA. But let's start with the Pacers, as we're both right here in Indianapolis. The Pacers fell, rather significantly to the Hornets last night. What do you think was the contributor to that? What are your thoughts on the Pacers and the Hornets?
Well, we talked about the Pacers had a tough upcoming schedule, and you needed to go to Detroit and get a win, and that was a game that they pretty much trailed throughout, and Cade Cunningham, the rookie, the number 1 overall pick, kind of took over. You lose in New York in a game you only scored 10 points in the fourth quarter. Last night you were down big, 25. I think the plus-minus for the starters was like minus 15. The bench came in, went on a furious rally to get within 3, but then you had a chance to tie it after a couple steals under a minute, and they missed an opportunity to even get up a 3 to set it to overtime. So the Pacers, again, we just talked about, they're a very hit-or-miss team. They're going to be hit-or-miss all season, hit-or-miss with injuries, hit-or-miss with wins. There's been a lot of games that they should have won that they lost, and there's been a lot of games that they lost that they should have won. Last night, something about going to Charlotte. I mean, they opened the season there. They had a 15-point halftime lead, and they blew that. But I think Rick Carlisle sent the message last night that whoever's playing well is going to get the playing time. We saw the bench play the entire fourth quarter, guys like Keelan Martin, T.J. McConnell, Torrey Craig. And I think it sets a message for tonight's game against the Pelicans. You know, the Pelicans are a team that got their second win last night at home against the Clippers. So we'll see what can happen with the Pacers tonight. But again, 6-11. I mean, they were hot when we talked last Saturday. They had won 4 out of 6, and it should have been 6 out of 6 coming back from that Western Road swing. But it's been a very letdown of a week for the Pacers, and I can't think of a better opponent to bust out of a slump than tonight against the Pelicans.
Yeah, it's going to be a great game again at home, and I'm still getting used to calling it. It's called It's not called. What's the Pacers Stadium called now?
The Gainbridge Fieldhouse.
Gainbridge, that's what it was. Had a brain fart. My brain is not working. Let's talk a little bit about the Warriors and the Pistons. Good game last night. The Warriors came up on top. Again, we're coming off of Steph Curry last week, as we found out, became the number 1 free throw shooter all of NBA history. But certainly talk with us about the Warriors. You got to think. And we're probably going to continue to have this conversation. But the championship, the NBA championship in the West, goes through the Golden State Warriors.
Well, we'll see if they get Klay Thompson back or what moves they make. Andrew Wiggins has been playing out of his mind. Jordan Poole, yeah. Some of these bench guys that are finally taking that next step are really stepping up. And Steph's obviously having an MVP season to start the year through the first 10 or so games. You know, they're getting it done. They're beating down teams, and we'll see if that picks up. I mean, everybody in the NBA will go through that kind of null period where it's the grinded out days of January and February before the trade deadline. So obviously like what the Warriors have done. Steph's playing out of his mind. They're 14-2. They've won 9 out of their last 10. And again, they're a team that they let Detroit get back in it last night. But again, it's tough when a Western Conference team plays on the East Coast, and it's tough when the East Coast Conference teams play on the West Coast. So been very impressed by the 14-2 start for the Warriors.
Let's talk a little bit about the Lakers, and really for the first time in recent history, and certainly a new space for the Lakers and LeBron, they fall under 500 after that loss to Boston last night. And LeBron James certainly coming off of an injury. Guys like LeBron James, we remember back when we had conversations about Michael Jordan retiring. We just didn't have those conversations. But at some point we had that conversation. We're not having that conversation now, I don't think. But certainly the Lakers aren't in the spot that is winning, and that's where LeBron James likes to be at.
Yeah, but this is what they do. He kind of rests up. He makes sure he's healthy for the playoffs. And when you got LeBron James on your team, and if Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook can figure out how to play well together, they're still going to make the playoffs. It doesn't matter if the Lakers are an 8 seed or a 7 seed; they're still going to have a chance. But they need better bench help. Guys like Horton Tucker just aren't guys that you want to go into the playoffs with and have to rely on. Avery Bradley, is one of those guys as well. Dwight Howard off the bench. You just don't have guys that are capable in a 7-game series for a month in the playoffs of getting you where you need to go. So I'll be really interested to see what the Lakers do over the next couple of months with the chemistry, and if there's guys traded and getting scores brought in. If you remember a couple of years ago, they had scores. They had Kyle Kuzma that could come off the bench. They even had Alex Caruso who could give you that spark off the bench. So I think if you're the Lakers, you're not really content with your lineup, and you're going to have to make some trades before that trade deadline comes to get a shooter in and get somebody else that can relieve the pressure when one of those big three are sitting on the bench.
Let's talk about the East. There's 2 teams in the East that come to mind when we think about the path to the championship, and that's the Milwaukee Bucks and the Brooklyn Nets. Excuse me. Certainly, you got to think that the Brooklyn Nets is a stronger argument to be that team to go through in the East. But you also got to look at the Milwaukee Bucks. When we're looking at the East, and certainly that's where the Pacers sit at. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, the Bucks got to get healthy. They're 8-8 on the season. It's been a slow start out the gates for the champs. The Nets. It's always whenever Kevin Durant's on the basketball court, that's a team that you're going to have to play your best that night to beat. James Harden can beat you in so many different ways too. Kyrie Irving is not even back yet. Who knows what's going on in his situation? So, over the last 2 weeks, the Nets have really found their footing. 12-5 overall, 8-2 over the last 10. But it's the best 1-2 punch in the NBA, I think, with James Harden and Kevin Durant. My problem with the Nets is getting off to good starts. They were down 16 last night to the dismal Magic. They're getting off to these slow starts and constantly having to come back. That wears and tears on you. You think about, they're playing teams like Cleveland and they're playing teams like the Pelicans, and they're finding themselves down early. You're fighting back throughout the rest of the game. So I like the Nets, but I think they're going to have to do a good job of kind of managing minutes for some of those older players that they have on the squad, like Blake Griffin.
Now, you mentioned getting a slow start. You look at that score. If you was just to look at the score and look in between the tea leaves, and we're talking about Milwaukee and the Nets, 113-115 against, like you said, miserable Magic. And then you look at the Thunder, which is a moderately good team, 89-96. You think, okay, well, the stronger team there, if you're reading in between the tea leaves, is the Bucks. But the Nets certainly have proven one thing like basketball, like baseball, it's a series of games. So you can't base a lot of things on one game like you can with the NFL. But certainly, the Nets have got to get off to a faster start, if you will. Let's go through some of the games that we got on tap today. We just talked about the Pacers and the Pelicans. But what do you got for us today for tonight's game against the Pelicans and the Pacers?
Yeah, again, the Pacers are just going to have to jump off to a good start. This is the Pelicans team that got their second win last night against the Clippers at home, in a spot for definitely a letdown. And you just look at what the Pacers need to do, and that's continue to rebound. They need consistency out of Miles Turner. They live outside of that three-point line a little too much. The other night they were 7 of 29 at one point against the Knicks. Mix things up. Some better games tonight in the NBA. You got the Heat and the Wizards. That should be a good one. Wizards off to a really good start. A lot of those players that they got in the Russell Westbrook trade are really playing well. Rui Hachimura out of Gonzaga in his second year is playing well. Hawks Hornets should be pretty good. The 76ers have been pretty good on this road trip out west. They play Portland. So you got some good games in the NBA tonight. But yet, with the Pacers 7-point favorites, it's just got to be consistency, keeping guys like Jackson Hayes off of the rebounds. Obviously, the Pelicans are without Zion Williams, but they had a big win last night, and they got their third win on the season. They're not a very good team. They get up to very poor starts. So we'll see what happens tonight with the Pacers taking on the Pelicans. I think the Pacers should cruise to an easy win. But again, it's the NBA, and anything can happen. They're professionals for a reason.
That's right. They get paid the big bucks for the reasons. Are we seeing anything with the Grizzlies and the Timberwolves?
Both are really pesky teams that are going to be fighting for that anywhere from the 6 to the 10 seed in the West. You talk about that playing game. I think that's a spot where you'll see the Grizzlies, who got blown out last week at home to the Pelicans, but they bounced back and won against Washington. And you got Karl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell. They're playing pretty well in Minnesota. They went last week to L.A. and blew out the Lakers. Despite the fact that LeBron James wasn't playing. So, I don't mind the Timberwolves. They're a good team. That's a tough place to play. They're 6-9. So again, they're right on that cusp of being in contention for a playoff spot or being out of the playoffs and not getting in the lottery. So very similar to what the Pacers are.
If you want to stay up late and watch basketball tonight, good game to watch to stay up late on a Saturday night is the 76ers and the Trailblazers. That should be a very good game to watch.
Yeah, we're just waiting for Damian Lillard to kind of break out of his funk. I mean, he's kind of struggled to his standards out of the gate this season. I don't know if it's just a slump to start the year. C.J. McCollum's been playing really well for him or for the Blazers, but I just think you look at the Sixers without Ben Simmons, as we know. Tobias Harris has been banged up. Joel Embiid's been banged up, but they've been able to compete and play well, especially on this road swing. So should be a good game there. We'll see what Portland can do. Portland's a team that's, right on the cusp as well early on in the season. Are they going to be inside of the playoffs? They're going to be outside of the playoffs. Is Dame Lillard going to take off and do what we know Dame Lillard can do? If he does, that's a team that can move up in the standings. If not, you've got dominant teams in the West like the Jazz. The Nuggets are going to get there when they're healthy, and the Phoenix Suns are playing really good basketball right now as well.
Well, you mentioned that the Nuggets and Sun actually play tomorrow. So what kind of matchup are we looking at there? They're back in action. They had a good win against Dallas, but not a pretty win, if you would say. So certainly the Nuggets and the Suns are going to be a game that all eyes are on tomorrow, if you will. But they play tomorrow out in Phoenix. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that the Suns played last night, had a good win. Devin Booker playing well, DeAndre Ayton, Chris Paul. They're going to be one of the top teams in the West. Now the Nuggets, obviously Jamal Murray's hurt. Joker didn't play last night, so I think Joker will play tomorrow, and that's a good matchup against him with DeAndre Ayton. The Nuggets they're a good team. I wouldn't say they're a great team. I think they have a great home court advantage, just like the Jazz do, kind of playing out there in those elements. So that should be a good one tomorrow. I would expect the Suns to come to play, though. It seems like whenever they get a chance to step up and be, and be a team that proves that on big nights they can win basketball games, they've done it. So really like what I saw so far on the Suns.
We're talking with Tony Donahue, the Tony D Podcast, our official NBA contributor, and this is our NBA segment. We were talking about big teams in the East to look out for. Last week we had a good conversation with Adam about the Cavaliers of surprisingly good this year. But now we see this issue with Colin Sexton, and so he's out now. The last that I heard. So what are your thoughts about Colin Sexton being out with Cleveland now with the injury?
Yeah, I mean, Cleveland's a team that you're just kind of waiting to take that next step. They're obviously riding a pretty bad losing streak here. And when you lose your main guy scoring, it's going to be tough to overcome. Now, Darius Garland's done a pretty good job of stepping up. He had 25 the other night. Kevin Love's been healthy, which is good. Ricky Rubio's been playing well as well. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Colin Sexton's a guy that can go get buckets whenever he needs to. He can make things happen. But you're not getting that back. I mean, he's done with a torn meniscus. So who's going to step up right now? It's been Darius Garland, and we'll see how active they are with trading here over the next couple of weeks.
You would think we're done talking about this with everything that's happened in all the realms of sports, but we're still talking about this. Pelicans Luanza suspended for 25 games. He basically tested positive for steroids. I can't believe in the level that we're in with NBA, NFL, insert team here, insert league here. We're still talking about players taking performance-enhancing drugs. Yeah, and I'll leave you on this note. It's just one of those things where and Tom, it's not just the NBA, it's every sport. You just think to yourself, like, coming off an injury, you're looking for that competitive advantage to get back as soon as possible. And we see so many injuries come from players that, are coming off of an injury. They rush themselves back, or hey, man, I could take this and I could be back 3 weeks earlier, or I could be back a month earlier, and then you just risk yourself in the future. So you almost just look at it like, why? Like, why even do it? You know you're going to get caught. Even if the drug tests are randomized, you're still going to get caught. It's still not going to look good for your career. So, luckily, he was just a role player. The Pelicans really don't need him. He's a guy that really doesn't give you the minutes that you were looking for. And at that point, you almost just cut ties. Yeah, just cut bait. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Tony Donahue, the Tony D podcast, has been talking NBA with us. Before we let you go real quick, I saw some stuff come across the social media yesterday in the funny season with IndyCar. Did I see something? I think it may even came from a thread of one of your tweets. I was so busy yesterday. Everything was going at 100 miles. But did I see that Connor Daly will not be back with the Air Force, or the Air Force will be back without Connor Daly? Yeah, the Air Force has decided to not sponsor IndyCar. It's a year-by-year thing. It's obviously a government-sanctioned sponsorship, and the money relies on that. And sometimes, they look and say, what's the return on investment here? What are we doing? So they've decided to not re-up, which kind of moves Connor Daly out of Ed Carpenter Racing. I think we'll still see him in the Indy 500. He might be doing some Truck Series races as well. But yeah, the Air Force, which has been a pretty good sponsor and helped Connor get to where he is right now, no longer going to be a sponsor in IndyCar. Well, that's unfortunate because, yeah, they're a great sponsor, and it's not a political show, but there's a lot of things, a lot of avenues we could go down with the conversation about that. Tony Donahue of the Tony D podcast, what are you guys working on this week? Yep, just more racing stuff. We'll take a look into a lot more action when it comes to betting in the NBA and racing, and we'll just keep on rolling. Just keep on rolling. So any bets of the week for NFL for us tomorrow? Stay away. I hate betting. I hate betting the NFL. It's the worst. It can go in any direction, so I usually stay away. Try to make my money on college basketball and just enjoy my Sunday. There you go. Well, let's play the homer card because Ed's not going to be with us today. Tomorrow, the Colts are on the road against the Bills. Great win over the Jaguars. We can say great, but we again, we still let the Jaguars get off. There was a lot we could break down with Jaguars, but I don't know how much weather's going to be a segment. We know that last week Carson Wentz was on the questionable list. I don't think he is this week, and I think only last week it was because they were unsure about the baby, but he did decide to go ahead and come. And congratulations to Carson Wentz on his new arrival. But the Colts got to take care of business in Buffalo tomorrow. For the first time, Colts are above or at 500. So this is, you don't want to say must win, but this is a need to win. Unfortunately, Tennessee is still blocking our road to a path of getting into the playoffs at all. So the Colts and the Bills, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Bills will win that. The Colts are not going to be able to go on the road because they'll stop the run and they'll make Carson Wentz try to beat him. And it's not going to happen in cold weather. Wentz has kind of proved that over his career. It's a tough schedule coming up. You've got Tampa coming to town. You've got New England over the next couple of weeks. So I don't expect the Colts to get it done tomorrow. It can happen, but I just don't see it.
Tony Donahue, we appreciate you jumping on with us. Where can people find your work and masterpieces, sir?
Have a good one, Tom. Thanks.
Oh, thank you, Tony. Tony Donahue of the Tony D Podcast. We'll get his information up on social media. He didn't say where to find his work and masterpieces, as he always sign off is, but I believe it's at Tony D, but it's on our social media at T Balance. My name's Tom Marquis, El Presidente. We'll be right back, jump into some NFL talk, and with yours truly, and we're just going to kind of walk down the road around the NFL, maybe throw a little bit of fantasy stuff in, and we'll get through it, I promise you, right here on the Balance Radio Network.
The Air National Guard is a reserve component of the United States Air Force and serves alongside active duty Air Force members in times of a national crisis. In addition, the Air Guard serves the state and local community in a wide range of capacities. The reason people join the Air Guard is as diverse as our members and includes such reasons as a deep desire to serve their country, money for college, travel, new job skills, and the pride that goes along with belonging to the greatest military organization in the world. I joined because I felt a calling to serve my country, but I didn't want to be far away from my family, so the Indiana Air National Guard was a perfect fit for me. With over 95 different career opportunities to choose from and 100% paid college tuition to any state-funded college, why not give us a call? Call 1-800-841-3103 or visit online at goang.com to find out more. Again, that's 1-800-841-3103. The Air National Guard, guarding America, defending freedom.
I can't believe it. I've been playing 4-on-4 with a barbershop quartet.
Pass the ball, pass the rock. We're open, just pass the ball.
Nah, I can't believe how easy it was to save hundreds of dollars on my car insurance with Geico. Yeah.
Believe it, Geico could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Morning face. You get it when you don't sleep well. This is what happened to Linda.
Morning, guys.
Good morning. Ah, what is that thing?
It's me, Linda.
Oh my God, it talks! Run!
No, it's me, Linda from HR.
It looks hungry! Save the children! Save them! Stay back! I've got mace!
Ow, they're one of my eyes.
Quit moving!
It's called beauty sleep for a reason. And there's never been a better time to get some.
Get 20% off IKEA Sultan mattresses. IKEA, love your home.
Oh, hi. Seen on the board, do you guys have Black Rifle coffee here?
No, I'm sorry. We only carry good small batch coffee here. No.
Well, it is great small batch coffee.
Well, that really can't be unless it's fresh roasted. So,
Well, it is fresh roasted.
I don't think you know what that means. You know what this is? This is Masa Lekwa Pique, which, of course, in the Indonesian language. Let me finish. In the Indonesian language, it's weasel coffee.
You just made that up.
No, it's been passed through their digestive tract.
That's disgusting.
And then it's nature's wet processing.
Yeah, but is it good?
I mean, it's all right. Are they investor philanthropists? Do they support good causes?
Yeah, tons of causes. Veterans causes and first responder causes, but it doesn't matter because they make good coffee. So that's what I'm wondering.
Do you have any?
You know what? Actually, I'm just going to order it. They make it fresh and roasted.
Right. Black Rifle Coffee.
It's good.
All right, fellow babies, and now it's time to go to our live remote man on the scene at the Pinedale Shopping Mall for the big WKRP turkey giveaway. So, take it away, Les Nessman.
This is Les Nessman, your man on the scene here at the Pinedale Shopping Center where the excitement is mounting. We're here to witness the big WKRP Turkey Thanksgiving giveaway.
Hey, you got permission to be out here?
What?
You're blocking my store here, buddy.
Don't you know who I am? I'm Les Nessman. I won the Buckeye News Hawk Award last year.
Good for you, Buckeye. Now get out of my doorway.
I'm sorry. Creep.
So far, so good, huh?
I'm here with hundreds of people who have gathered to witness what has been described as perhaps the greatest turkey event in Thanksgiving Day history. All we know for sure is that in a very few moments there are going to be a lot of happy people out here. Now the crowd is curious but well behaved. And I think I hear something now. The crowd is moving out into the parking area. And, oh yes, I can see it now. It's a helicopter. And it's coming this way.
A helicopter?
It's flying something behind it. I can't quite make it out. It's a large banner. And it says, Happy Thanksgiving. From WKRP. What a sight, ladies and gentlemen. What a sight. The copter seems to be circling the parking area now. I guess it's looking for a place to land. No, something just came out of the back of the helicopter. It's a dark object. Perhaps a skydiver plummeting to the earth from only 2,000 feet into the air. The third. No parachutes yet. Those can't be skydivers. I can't tell just yet what they are, but... Oh, my God, they're turkeys! Oh, Johnny, can you get this? Oh, they're crashing to the earth right in front of our eyes! One just went through the windshield of a parked car! Johnny, this is terrible. The cars running around, pushing each other. Oh, my goodness! Oh, the humanity! Oh, people are running about. The turkeys are hitting the ground like sacks of wet cement. I don't know how much longer the crowd is running for their lives. I think I'm going to step inside. I can't stay out here and watch this any longer. No, I can't go in there. Children are searching for their mothers, and not since the Hindenburg tragedy has there been anything like this. I don't know how much longer I can hold my position here, Johnny. The crowd.
Les, are you there? Les isn't there. Thanks for that on-the-spot report, Les. For those of you who just tuned in, the Pinedale Shopping Mall has just been bombed with live turkeys. Film at 11.
As God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly.
All right, welcome back to The Balance. Of course, that's our annual Thanksgiving turkey drop that we do here on The Balance. Classic WKRP. Certainly radio guy like me loved WKRP, and that's one of the best bets ever, and certainly best to play around Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving's coming up this Thursday. So I swear to God, I thought turkeys could fly. And maybe that's what we're saying now with this show. I don't know, between everything that goes on. But, hey, thanks for joining us today. My name's Tom Marcos, El Presidente. I'm your fearless leader, and I'll guide you out through the next few minutes here as Ed Kratz, beat writer for the Philadelphia Eagles and our official NFL contributor, is doing some wrestling coaching today and is not going to be able to join us. But we started things off with our new wrestling segment, and it went just as planned. No rehearsal, no nothing. And, of course, it started off with some technical issues. It wouldn't be The Balance if it didn't. Rick Riggin and Andrew Williams help us break down the AEW, and just kind of a fun segment to have. Yes, guys, we know it's not real, and I think Andrew right off are telling us we know it's the best pretend sport out there. I love it. Great stuff. Of course, Rick Riggin is also our official college football prognosticator, and we talk about the college football rankings and what kind of movements we're going to see. You know, certainly Ohio State I mean, we feel like Ohio State's going to win, but we need certainly Notre Dame needs a big win today, an impressive win over Georgia Tech to help their resume with the playoff committee. And then we talk about Utah and Oregon out there. There could be a lot of chaos out there. Talk with NBA with Tony Donahue of the Tony D podcast, our official NBA contributor, and certainly talked about the Pacers and certainly what's going on around the league in the NBA and some news coming out with the funny season this week. Connor Daly will no longer be sponsored by the Air Force due to budget cuts. Like I said, on a political show, but a lot of things we could talk about that. But hopefully we'll see him back at the track in some capacity. Certainly they call it funny season for a reason. Anything can happen. Well, my name's Tom Marquis, El Presidente. We're going to go ahead and dump into the NFL segment, if you will. And we just talked a little bit about the Colts and the Bills. So, here's a different twist. Everybody knows I play fantasy football in 3 different leagues. Can't seem to get a win, so maybe don't take my advice. But I'm just going to go through some games today, look at your lineup. Maybe you have some players that we're going to talk about today. So today we'll kind of focus in on fantasy football as we go into Week 11. It's hard to believe we're already in Week 11 of fantasy football. But, hey, I'm not the official fantasy football guy, but let's take a look at it. Let's, because we always like to start with our home teams here, and let's talk about the Colts or the Bills. First of all, they're outdoors. I mean, this is that type of year you don't really know what the weather's going to be like tomorrow. We'll find that out maybe, or you could certainly look it up, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to tell you it's outside and it's cold, and certainly the projected score. A lot of people are talking about the Bills getting a win 28-21. It's going to be a disappointing loss because then that will put the Colts back under 500. So let's look at the matchups here. Let's start with the quarterback matchups. You got a top-end QB2 with Josh Allen. If you got Josh Allen, play him all day long, every day, twice on Sunday. He's projected to get 24.9 points tomorrow. So if you've got Josh Allen, he should be your starter tomorrow. Now, Carson Wentz, certainly has proven that he's doing better than what he has in years past. It wasn't that convincing at the beginning of the year, so I don't know that a lot of people picked him up. He might still be available in some leagues, but unless you really need him for like a bye replacement or something like that, or you absolutely need a quarterback, and if you can find him, because I know since he's been playing well, a lot of people have been picking him up and putting him on his bench. But Carson Wentz, I would certainly bench tomorrow against Josh Allen. Now let's talk about 2 of the dominant running backs. If you got Jonathan Taylor, obviously one of the best in the league, and then you've also got Zach Moss with Buffalo. There's your matchup there. I would go with Jonathan Taylor, obviously for obvious reasons. I think he's projected to get around 18 points, if you will. Now let's talk a little bit about the defenses. If you've got the Bills or the Colts as the defense, I wouldn't play the Colts. The Colts, I'm not a big fan, even though they're doing okay, but they're only projected to get 3 points. And if you could find a defense that'll do better for you, certainly go with that. And, the Bills are projected to get about 6 points, so 6.5 points. It's kind of shaky ground, but I would play them over the Colts when it comes down to it. Now, when we look at the lineups from the Colts and the Bills, we'll move on to some of these other teams. I mean, I think you obviously got to lock in Josh Allen and Jonathan Taylor and Stephon Diggs. Those are givens. This is a week you don't play Carson Wentz. So, that's my takeaways. I mean, Dawson Knox, I wouldn't be worrying about him either. Is he just coming back from an injury? Let's talk about the Baltimore Ravens at Chicago Bears. My throat's dying, for those that know. That was me taking a drink of water. I know, highly unprofessional, but hey, it is what it is. Let's talk about the Ravens. I mean, the Ravens lost. If you think about this, Ravens lost in overtime, and they've been in some very tight games. Now, the matchups there, obviously, with the quarterback situation, Lamar Jackson and Justin Fields, good matchups. I mean, I would be okay with you playing either one of them. And certainly, perhaps you would play Lamar Jackson if you have him over Justin Fields. Of course, Lamar Jackson's QB1. He's a top tier. Quarterback. So it's never really a question whether or not to play Lamar Jackson. So certainly it's a good matchup. It's a good play. So yeah, play Lamar Jackson. And I kind of with the Ravens and the Bears. You look at Lamar Jackson for sure, Marquise Brown for sure, Mark Andrews for sure. Justin Fields, though, has delivered a really a decent fantasy outing, but that was prior to the bye. Again, it's one of those quarterbacks. It's a good matchup. You got him. He's projected to get 16 points. I mean, certainly playing, but there may not even be any better options. And we've talked about in our league, quarterback selection is nil. If you don't have a solid quarterback on your team now, chances are you're not going to find him. My guess is you're not going to find Justin Fields out there anywhere, but if you do, by all means, pick him up. Like I said, he did deliver some top fantasy points outings. Of course, that was prior to the Chicago's bye. Like David Montgomery, I like him. Latavius Murray, I like him. Tyson Williams, I like him. And, Mr. Know-It-All here, I was all on Tyson Williams, and I tried to make trades with him and pick him up. I finally ended up getting him, and I guess I got knee-jerk reaction or whatever. I just dropped him. So you could probably find Tyson Williams out there. Le'Veon Bell was released this week, so you look at Murray, Latavius Murray, should be able to have a good game there. So I would certainly, those are some of the ones I would look at. And when you look at the defenses, though, again, the Bears' average defense at best. I mean, they might be a step above the Colts. They're only projected to get 4 points. The Ravens are good. I mean, good defense, solid defense. I mean, you want to get between 7 and 10 points from your defense each and every week. And a lot of people like me, I drop defenses and kickers every single week. So it's easy to go a week by week with the defense and with your kickers. Go with it that way. And certainly look at your matchups we didn't go through all of them, of the positions by positions, but look at your tight ends, your wide receivers, and so forth. Let's talk about the Lions or at the Browns. It's, again, going to be a good matchup. The Lions are, we still don't know if they've mailed it in. We hate to say that. We don't know if they've done that or not for the first round pick. But certainly you got to like Cleveland in this game. Probably a 25-19 type game. Let's talk about the matchups here. Baker Mayfield versus Tim Boyle. Now, here's the thing. You look at a QB ranked, 22 with Baker Mayfield, and Doyle ranked 28. I'd play Doyle on the road. Great matchup there. I wouldn't play Baker Mayfield. Now, that said, if you're one of those people that go by projections alone, well, you're gonna probably pick Baker Mayfield because he's projected to get 15.5 points, whereas Tim Doyle is projected to get 12. But he's great on the road, and he's a great matchup there at Cleveland. So there's times when you play these mediocre quarterbacks, maybe to replace your quarterback that might be on a bye, and then you look at the matchup. And this matchup on the road in Cleveland is a much better matchup. So I would certainly play Tim Doyle. And, for the essence of time, we're not going to have time to get through all of these positions. But, look at your wide receivers. Look at your running backs. If you're in a PPR league, most of your points are going to be coming from the running back slot. So in this particular scenario, if you're looking at a running back matchup, DeAndre Swift, again, average. He's projected to do good points, but when you look at that matchup, Nick Chubb is, man, he's the great guy to get out there, and he's projected to get 17.5 points. So you look at running backs like that. If you've got your top caliber running backs like a Nick Chubb, I mean, if you've got a choice between Nick Chubb and DeAndre Swift in this particular matchup, I go with Nick Chubb. And then you look at your wide receivers, and look at how they do as well. Now, the defenses here, you're going to want to go with the Browns all day long. They've got a good defense. There's no reason to even think about not playing the Browns in this. I would say unless you have a high caliber defense. Most leagues only have one defense. I know that the deeper leagues, some of them have two. We only allow for one. So if you've got the Bears playing, if you got the Lions, maybe look out and see what's out there on a last-minute game day decision. They're only projected to get 4.5. Remember, my rule of thumb, now, this doesn't always happen because clearly I have not had a winning season across the board. So take it for what it's worth. But, I feel like if you can get 7 to 10 or plus points consistently out of the defense, that's who you want to go with. And sometimes you can find those on the waiver wire because people bounce around the defenses. You just got to look at them at the right time. But certainly, if you got the Browns, play the Browns. If you got the Lions, see if you can find something else. I mean, certainly DeAndre Swift and Nick Chubb are the ones you're going to be looking at the most. So, certainly, again, I think this is going to be a good win at home for Cleveland. But, the matchups is what you're talking about. Let's talk about the Houston Texans and that team that I'm really beginning to hate as a Colts fan, and that's the Tennessee Titans. They are a thorn in my side. And it used to be Texans were a thorn, but in the AFC South, Tennessee is that blocking road for the Colts to get to the playoffs. I mean, they've got the tiebreaker, so there literally almost is no path for the Colts to get to the playoffs at this point, but we'll see what happens. Now, let's talk about the quarterback situation. In one of my leagues, I believe it's our league here at The Balance, I do have Ryan Tannehill, which I'll play, and that'll probably be your good. Tyrod Taylor, average quarterback. He's projected to get around 14.5 to 15 points. Again, not a lot out there in the quarterback situations. So, I would say if you got Tyrod Taylor and you can't find a better quarterback out there, go ahead and play him. But between the matchup between the two, definitely Ryan Tannehill would get the nod there. You look at the wide receivers in this matchup more than you do the running backs because you got to like A.J. Brown and Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks with Houston and A.J. Brown with Tennessee. And really when you look at the matchup there, you would say A.J. Brown is just kind of an average wide receiver. But he is, again, if you're going by that projected points, he is projected to get 16 points, 16.5 points, and Brandon Cooks, just a little over 15. But I would say if you use the difference between good and average, in this matchup, I would go with Brandon Cooks being the good and A.J. Brown being the average for that matchup. And I certainly, definitely, unfortunately, and I'm saying this, that the Titans are going to get a win, probably somewhere around the 29-18 part. We used to, on the show, write down, what we thought the scores were and see who would come out on top. Maybe we'll start doing that. Not on all of them, but, some key games. But, yeah, the Texans are at the Titans. Your lineup locks obviously got to be A.J. Brown, Brandon Cooks, Ryan Tannehill, play him. I've got him. I'm going to play him. So, yeah, go ahead and play him. And the defenses here, again, you look at the Titans have a tough defense. You could say they have a great defense. They're consistently in that 7 to 10 point range every week. That's one of the teams, defenses you don't see pop up in the waiver wire hardly ever. So in this situation, you're definitely going to want to play the Titans. Texans are only projected to get around 4.5 points. They're average at best in the defense slot there. So with that matchup, let's talk about the Packers and the Minnesota Vikings. Great game here if you like rivalries. Bad game if you just if you're watching a game to see something exciting. And bad game if you think this game is going to be something that's going to light the world on fire. Chances are, unless you're a Packers fan or a Vikings fan, there's nothing there for you. There's nothing there for me in this matchup at all. Vikings will probably win. This could be one of those games. We've seen it happen a couple times this year, but this could be one of those games where it actually ends in a tie. That's where it's like this is not going to be a shake the world type game. Now, if you look at them quarterback matchups, you got Aaron Rodgers and Kirk Cousins. So Kirk Cousins at home, Aaron Rodgers on the road. Okay, Aaron Rodgers in this matchup. Here's the difference. I mean, I think Kirk Cousins is a not poor money ways because God knows he's not. He's a poor choice to have as your starting quarterback if you've got somebody better. Now, Aaron Rodgers is a top quarterback, and just by name alone, you think, okay, I've got Aaron Rodgers, all's good in the world. Aaron Rodgers scheduled to get about 18 points tomorrow in this matchup. It's a shaky matchup. I don't know if you've got a better quarterback to play. This is one of those situations where you have to look at what you've got and what's out there. And so this might be the best of what's out there and the best to play. So certainly in this situation, play Aaron Rodgers. If you don't have anybody better, you've got somebody better. I would steer away from both of these, Aaron Rodgers and Kirk Cousins. Absolutely. This whole running back situation here is a mess. The most positive thing with the Green Bay Packers is the wide receiver, Davante Adams. Dude's a beast. And he's a wide receiver. He's going to get more points than Aaron Rodgers. He's probably going to get 25 points tomorrow. So I have him in one of my leagues. I will be playing him. But Davante Adams is the most intriguing thing that I see in this game. Both defenses suck. Both defenses are going to get about 3.5 to 4 points. So, there's nothing to get excited about with the Packers and Minnesota Vikings. Yes, we know Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback. Okay, let's move on. Let's look at the Dolphins and the Jets. These are two teams that are just ugly. I mean, they win, they lose, they win, they lose. They're not good. But Tua's back. That's a positive sign for the Dolphins. So it's a quarterback situation there. So Tua's back. He's been back for a couple weeks. That's an average quarterback to play at this point. He's probably in the top 10 as far as quarterbacks. He's going to get you about 20 points tomorrow. You look at Joe Flacco. I mean, again, old man in the sport. Let's go. It's good. Okay, if you got him playing, again, I understand there's not a big you talk about supply chain. The supply chain is really backed up when it comes to quarterbacks. So if you got Joe Flacco, also another player to look at with Miami is Myles Gaskin. Great matchup here against Michael Carter, and you certainly got to play him. He's going to get you 17, 18 points if he's got a good game. So if he has a great game, he could literally explode. So I definitely, when you look at the running back situation for Myles Gaskin, for him to get you that many points as a running back, you got to play him every week. And the defensive matchup, again, great matchup, I guess. Again, these are two teams that are just nothing exciting. But the better of the two defenses, obviously, is going to be the Dolphins. They're projected to get closer to that 7 mark than the Jets are. And again, that's my my index point, if you will. My KPI there would be the Dolphins. So there you go with that. Again, We're doing the fantasy stuff today because we typically don't get to do this because we have Ed on with us and we're breaking down. So if we're missing some of your stuff, Ed had some other stuff going on. But let's talk about the Eagles, though. The Eagles host the Saints. The Saints are a good team. They're probably going to get a win on the road. It's unfortunate. I love the Eagles, but I live vicariously a fan of the Eagles through Ed. Always disappointing to see the loss. So maybe a close game. 24-22 type situation. That's just what I see here. But I don't like the matchup here. There's nothing really here. I've got Jalen Hurts, and I've only played him once this year. Or a little bit more weight. I take that back. When Prescott on my other league, I had him with Prescott. I played him a little bit more. I had high expectations for Jalen Hurts. That hasn't come to fruition yet. We'll see. He is projected to get somewhere around 20 points. I'm not playing him tomorrow. At the moment, that might change tomorrow. I do have a habit of changing my mind first thing on Sunday morning when I'm having my coffee. So you got the matchup between Seaman and Hurts. Seaman just now getting back in the flow of things, makes it an average matchup. Jalen Hurts, I'm just kind of shaky about. Honestly, out of the two of those, I'd probably, even though Jalen Hurts is projected to get more points, I would probably stick with Trevor Seaman in that situation. Not really a lot of stuff going on in the wide receiver and running back here, but you do got to like Devontae Smith. I like him. I'm playing him. He's been pretty solid. He's going to get you at least 12 to 15 points consistently. So certainly you want to play Devontae Smith here as well. But we're talking about the tight ends. We haven't really talked any tight ends. But Trotman is good, and he's going to get you a good 8 to 10 points, and that's a solid mark where you want to be at for your tight ends. The defense, both of these defenses aren't really anything to write home about. The Saints are supposed to get around 5.5, and the Eagles the same, around 4.5. Neither one of these teams are good to play in fantasy football as far as defenses go. But again, play what's out there, and if you got to pick one over the other, I would certainly go with the Saints over the Eagles in the defense. But here's the thing: Jalen Hurts, if you got him, and he's the best out there for you playing, and Alvin Kamara, certainly you want to look at playing him as well, but not a lot to look and write about home about, if you will. Let's talk about the Washington team, that team in Washington that has football. It amazes me. Cleveland could change their baseball name and come up with the exact same team that the roller derbies have, the Guardians. And no one had ever heard of the Cleveland roller derby team until this name thing came together. So they could get a name, but Washington can't come up with a name. But Cleveland and their baseball team are now the Guardians, and they got that all figured out. I kind of think that the Guardians gave the other Guardians some money, and anyway, they came to an agreement, and both teams in Cleveland's remain name is the Guardians. I digress. It's going to be the last game that we can break down today as far as fantasy football goes. You got Washington at Carolina Panthers. Now, this is a game that's it's a game, okay? It's something to watch on Sunday and drink beer and what have you. The Panthers are probably going to win somewhere 22-28. I like Cam Newton back at Carolina. There's where he needs to be at. Starting, if you got him, this is a great matchup, a great opportunity to see him come back in a Carolina Panther uniform. Cam Newton, go for that all day long. Taylor Hendricks, good quarterback, just not a great matchup for tomorrow. Not getting really excited about anybody. Maybe DJ Moore, the wide receiver for Carolina. Also wide receiver Robbie Anderson. The defense, though, with Washington is good. If you got them playing, they're going to get you that close to that 7-point mark. But so is the Panthers. Panthers have an average defense, if you will. So certainly Christian McCaffrey, play him. Christian, please do something. I've set him on the bench all year long almost, it seems like, and now I think he's finally getting back to his stride. I hope so for my fantasy league that I have him in as well. My name's Tom Marquis. El Presidente. So glad you could join us today. Exciting times we had. We started off with our new wrestling segment, our All Elite Wrestling segment. And that's what we call the show today. First time in Balance history that we've had wrestling. So thank you, Andrew Williams and Rick Riggin, for spearheading that and making that segment fun. It was fun, and we could do it every week. Right now, we don't know if it's going to be every week, but we'll include it in the mix as much as we can. It might be that missing component that we've been looking for to get back to 2 hours. And thank you, Tony Donahue of the Tony D Podcast. Rick Riggin also helps out college football. Tony Donahue, the Tony D Podcast, our official NBA contributor, helping us break down NBA across the NBA news league world. And yours truly, Mr. Tom Marquisel, Presidente, guided you through the ship and back into port, if you will, to the end. The end is so permanent. I digress. Thank you for listening to us on the podcast. If you're listening to me right now, you're listening to me on the podcast. The good thing about our podcast, unlike a lot of podcasts, our show is our podcast. So it's one and the same. We don't do any editing, although we should sometimes, but we don't do any editing. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, and on the Twitter, as we'd like to say, and on Facebook, The Balance, both on Twitter at T-Balance and on Facebook, The Balance. Thanksgiving's coming up Thursday. Take some time to be with your friends and family, and be thankful for what we've got and what Thanksgiving is, and certainly eat up all your turkey. I'm making a good turkey this year, man. It's me. It's world famous, right? But make sure you have a great Thanksgiving. Most importantly, enjoy the games, drink some beer, but don't drink and drive. It isn't cool. I'm out of here. Deuces.
Join us next week for The Balance. In the meantime, check us out on Twitter, T-Balance, or Facebook, The Balance, or online at www.thebalanceonline.com.